What was your thought on Bryce? Did you think he was going to be dealt? Do you still think there's a possibility he'll be dealt in August? What was your take?
I did not think he was going to be dealt. I thought he should have been dealt. And, I mean, you can still make the deals. The question is how far down the waivers you're going to get until you deal them. So here's my thoughts on this whole trade deadline thing. And I think it goes back. Let's start with ownership, and we'll work our way down. There's a couple of years ago when I was talking to Mark Lerner, who now really runs the show there, and he had mentioned something about, my dad's getting older now. And
oh, yeah.
All I want is for us to win for my dad. It's so important for me. So, I kind of take that statement. I don't even know if it was a throwaway statement. I think it's something that is really on his consciousness. And I take that as if you punt on the season right now, right? If you just say, if you throw in the towel right now, that's one more season where you're not going to have it. And, Ted's not getting any younger. I don't want to sound dark or anything like that, but let's look at the facts here. The fact is that you came in with such high hopes this season that you're not just going to sell the farm. At least that's ownership's position there. So you're not going to sell the farm and punt with 2 months to go in the season. The second thing would be Mike Rizzo. And listen, you talk with him every week. I talk with him every week for 4 years, basically. And I think that he has to work around the constraints of ownership more than a lot of other general managers. Not saying that's a bad thing. I mean, he signed a contract there to stay. It's part of the job description. I think if it were up to him, it wouldn't have surprised me to see some other pieces go, even if it wasn't Bryce Harper. And then the last part of this is I thought at the most there's a 20% chance that he was going, because it was going to take just some monster offer. And for a 2-month rental and a guy in Bryce who has struggled to this point, I just didn't see it happening. You don't see it happen that much. I guess with Chapman a couple of years ago and Gleyber Torres, that was the last time I remember a big-time prospect going with 2 months to go. And it helped the Cubs win the World Series, but I just go.
Do you think that there were some deals in place that Mike had in place that he would have made these deals, but ownership said, hey, you know what? We don't want to tear this thing up just yet. We still think we can win this.
I will say it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, the only thing we have to go by is Mark Feinsand and maybe a couple other guys coming out and saying that there were deals on the table. Now, that could be Scott Boras, for all we know, sending something out, say, maybe trying to get Bryce to a winner. Maybe that could be Scott Boras leaking information. That could be anybody leaking information. I think that he was out on the trade block. I think that Rizzo even said that it was going to take an offer to blow them away, and it's just an uncomfortable situation. I think he was out there, and I think that you're not going to give him away on the cheap. It just doesn't make sense. But the John Heyman report that there was going to be riots, that actually sounds like Scott Boras. There's going to be riots if they trade Bryce Harper. No, there wasn't. I think Nationals fans are pretty level-headed when it comes to this, and they don't have a lot of confidence in this team.
Does Davey Martinez survive that and get a second season if that's the way the season ends? He does.
Yes, absolutely. I still think Davey Martinez is going to be a really good manager. He has had his growing pains. This has been tough. And here's something else. And Rizzo will never tell you this, but I know this for a fact. He did not want to get rid of Dusty Baker.
Right.
He did not want to get rid of Dusty Baker. I think it's out there, but there hasn't been a report. Yes, he wanted to keep Dusty. He thought Dusty was going to get him there, and he didn't. So I think they went out and they got themselves a really good young manager. The problem is that Davey's still trying to find his feel. I think he took a lot from Joe Madden, and rightly so. He was right next to him. He brought the Camels in and everything, but at some point in time, you got to find your own voice, and it's been tough for him. Now, there's still 2 months to turn this thing around. I'm surprised the Nationals didn't pick a side, either to go for it or to dump it. That to me was the one criticism of Rizzo. It's like you stood still. You stood pat. That to me is losing. You either go out and make yourself better, or you do sell. You do start to sell pieces off, because the Braves got better. I mean, the Braves took half of the Orioles, the good parts of the Orioles, and they put them in their bullpen, and they got Gosman too. The Phillies got better, and the Nationals just sat there hoping that something comes together. And, right now, I would bet against them. there's a chance. They're 5.5 games out. There's a chance that they catch fire, but I think the two teams ahead of them, at least one of them will stay the course and probably end up winning the division.
I'm a little surprised they didn't add a piece or two.
I am too. It's like if you're not going to sell and try and retool this thing for next year, then why aren't you trying to buy and give yourself the best chance to win this year? They got caught in the middle. And again, I don't know how much that was on Rizzo and how much that was on ownership, but ultimately, and Mike will tell you this, the buck stops with him. And I thought that was the biggest mistake right there, not choosing a side and getting caught in the middle. They got caught in the middle. You got 50 some odd games to try and turn this thing around. We'll see if it happens. Again, I think there's a lot of people that just don't have faith in this team. And I'm one of them because you've played so many games and you did not improve yourself. As a matter of fact, you got rid of Kinsler. Maybe that was because of some of the things he was saying about the team behind the scenes, but that didn't make the team better. Nothing that they did made it better. They're just hoping that guys turn things around.